Hello, welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
So, you are the lovely main cast of this interesting film, Icon of Betrayal. To start with, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves and tell us the name of the character which you are playing.
Me?
Yeah, you can go first.
My name is Isabel Nesty, and I play Reed Donovan.
My name is Ed Keats, and I play Quinton Smith.
My name is Florence Harvey, and I play Penelope Jones.
Lovely, thank you. So, let's get stuck in, I guess. So, what do you really think about each other? No, I'm just joking. So, we're going to start off with a question for Florence, because I feel like being mean.
I'm worried now.
No, it's not that bad of a question. What was your favorite scene to film?
We were discussing this last night.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed all the ones with the knife and anything with action in it.
Should we be worried?
Is that spoilers? Am I allowed to say that? I really enjoyed everything with action in it. And we had a big 3 scene where it was like the big confrontation. We got Quinton over for a chat. I really enjoyed that scene.
Nice. What do you think made those scenes in particular so fun to film or interesting?
For me, it was the scene where my character just became a little bit nastier. I think that's always fun, right? When you get to play something a little bit meaner, grittier. So I quite enjoyed that.
Nice. Lovely. Thank you. My next question is actually for all of you, so you can all answer this one. And it is, do you see parallels between yourself and your character?
Yeah, some. Hopefully not too many. But in my life, I always like everything in its own place, and everything kind of staged, like my bedroom's always perfect, and my roommates get mad at me because I yell at them when they leave things out of place.
Yeah.
So that way.
Do you think you relate to sort of the more conflicting emotions which your character feels?
Well, I think being an actress, every actor will struggle with wanting to, further the career and worrying about whether I'm doing the right thing, not doing the right thing. So I think any actor would relate in that regard.
Just hopefully most don't go and murder people.
True. Hopefully.
So, Ed, do you want to answer next?
No.
That's understandable.
So there are aspects of Quinton that I do relate to, in that he, in his mind, he's unstoppable. Like he knows what he wants to achieve, and he's going to go out and do it, and he's going to do everything he can. Where the line is drawn is where any sort of like more negative either thoughts or actions that he takes. That's definitely not me. So yeah, I think just this having a high bar for everything you do, and trying to do everything you can without hurting anyone, emotionally or physically. So that's the sort of like parallel I have with him.
Interesting. Lovely. Thank you. And Florence?
Yeah, I think there are quite a lot of parallels actually. I mean, in the sense that we're both like young actors, so already all of that was like fairly relatable. She's quite a nice person. I like to think I'm quite a nice person. Yeah, I would say there are some similarities.
Cool. Lovely. So, shall we go into more specific questions? I think so. Let's do a question for Ed. So, was there any specific research which you did to understand your character's motivations, like, any better?
Well, I've had various amount of agents, good and bad. So I've drawn on experiences in that way, as in how to broach sort of Quinton and his mindset and what he thinks about. And yeah, I suppose for the character, more focusing on those negative things I mentioned before. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's any specific research, but it just sort of called back to a lot of people I've worked with in the past, who have been good in some ways and absolutely atrocious in others.
Did you find it challenging to understand why your character went to such lengths to achieve what he wanted?
No, I see him as a control freak. He needs to be in power. He's got, um, also someone that I think also like wants to take a lot of credit for other people's work as well. Like he puts these ladies through so much, and but he's not doing it to sort of really benefit them. He's doing it to benefit himself.
Interesting. And Isabel, did you have a specific preparation process when you were going through the script and working on developing your character for this film?
Well, nothing, different than what I usually do. I would say, read the script several times, and then, whenever there's a relationship, stop and think, when did they meet, or what, where is the relationship now, or was it before? I wonder if there's nothing specific out of the ordinary from my regular routine. Yeah, I think so.
Did you find it difficult to get inside of the head of such a conflicting character? Because your character, Reed, often has times where you think she's innocent and the victim here, and other times where you're like, oh, should we be rooting for her?
I do think she's a victim in many ways, though, and that's the thing about playing a character. You always have to see their side, and because I was playing Reed, I'm very much on her side, whereas I see why she feels the way she feels. So I think there's a lot of times in our lives when we get angry or we get frustrated and we want to do things and we're not but we still have that instinct, but because we're good people, we don't. But in her case, she just kind of let things roll and didn't stop them because it suited her. But I understand where she was coming from.
Did you find it interesting to explore a character who went beyond that sort of barrier of what's good and what's not, as you mentioned?
Yeah, it's fun. Like Florence said, it's fun to play the evil, conniving, because you don't get to do that in real life.
And we all get to do it in the film as well at one point, which is really nice.
We're not
2D at all, which is great.
Lovely, thank you. So my next question is, how long have you all been acting, and what is your favorite project that you've been on?
Wow.
I'll let you guys go first.
I mean, to be fair, I've got more to think about.
So I started acting classes when I was actually about 4. So I pretty much decided what I wanted to be as a toddler and just never digressed. And I went to an acting school as my secondary school. So I did lots of acting through that, and then only left last year, so only just started out in the industry. And my favourite project I've ever done was actually something I did during training. It was a play called The Suppliant Women, and it's about refugees. And we performed it outside. It was raining and cold, but everyone had they were giving out food to everyone, and it was immersive theatre, and yeah, that was awesome. That was a really cool piece.
Lovely. So seeing as acting has been in your life for such a long time, how do you think it's impacted you as a person?
I mean, it's quite a large part of my personality. I won't lie. It's taken up a lot of my time. I guess it's impacted me in the sense that most of the people I know are actors or directors or producers. It's sort of all I know. It's an odd world that when I talk to people who aren't in it, it's a bit bizarre, and they're kind of oh, sorry, what do you do? That's a bit random, but I mean, it's amazing. But yeah, it's kind of all I've ever done. So I don't know how it's definitely impacted me, but I don't really know how, if that makes sense.
Oh, that makes sense.
I agree. Like I always did it since I was young. Always knew that that's what I wanted to do. But I think it's impacted me in like where I am as well because I went to New York and lived there for 8 years because I wanted to work as an actress, and then I moved to London because I wanted to work in the industry here. So that's definitely influenced my life a lot. I'm from Brazil, so I probably would still be in Brazil, living there with my family if I hadn't become an actress.
Nice. So, are you going to continue avoiding my question?
No, I've had some time to think. I'm not going to tell you how long I've been doing this for. No, same. I mean, yeah, I was about 10 or 11 when I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I've been doing it a while, and some guys, like always, yeah, I've been doing it, whether it's been sort of outside of school and then higher education and then professional work. So it's, yeah, favorite thing. I think mine's also actually stage, although I've sort of kind of come away from that, and I really do love working on screen now. But I had to do like a 20-25 minute monologue in an Italian accent, and I was just on my own, and I had to. It was great having that feeling of having the audience in your hand and them, you taking them on that journey with you. That was it was very well. I was very well directed, so. And it was a good process. That's my favourite thing that I've done.
Lovely. What would you say is the main difference between when you're doing something as a group and when you're doing something like a monologue where there is so much attention on you? Do you find it that you have more pressure on yourself, or do you feel like it's just sort of the same emotions you would feel if you were working with more than one person?
I think the good thing about working with at least a scene partner, if not more, is that there's support, there's a safety net, there's you work together. I think
there's a give and take.
There's give and take. My job as a scene partner is to make you look good, and vice versa, and give each other something to bounce off of. When you're solo, it can be difficult. It depends on the context. I mean, on screen, it doesn't really happen as much. But then you've got a director helping you out. I mean, there's always collaboration. So, and I much prefer collaboration than anything else.
Do you prefer doing solo work or collaborative work?
Oh no, I much prefer working with people because I think a lot of acting is reacting, and when you have somebody there, that becomes so much easier. And when you have to do it all by yourself, like if you're working on a monologue or even if it's just like an audition and things like that, you have to create all of that. So it's just a lot more work. Not lazy or anything, but it's just it's just you can create these actions and things around you in your mind, but you can never really tell in real life what the other person's going to do until you see it. So yeah, very much.
Thank you. My next question is another one that's for all of you. And it is, when working on this film, what did you find was the most challenging scene or moment during the whole process to film?
Everything with leather pants. I wear leather pants for 90% of this film during a heat wave.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, the temperature was...
Definitely the heat
Fire
wave.
The costume person.
The heat wave made things a lot more difficult than they had to be. But other than that, I think for me it was the knife scene.
Right.
Because there was just... It's a lot, physically, and having to do it over and over and over again becomes trying after a while. And having to keep that tension, that for me was the most difficult one.
Yeah, I don't think although the heat was it was like being in your own bath on set in your clothes. I don't know that I wonder what the performances would have been like had we not had that kind of irritation going on in the background of,
definitely
of how
added
hot.
To the tension.
It really helped. If there's one thing I've sort of really learnt doing this project is it's taking how you're feeling and then putting that into the work. So using it in a positive way rather than just letting negative thoughts swirl around your head. How can I put that into an action or a line or something? So yeah, the heat was challenging. I'd say my second day of filming was that when we had that really intense scene that we had to do, that required a lot of focus and a lot of
The 9-minute scene.
no, it's the one where you're like it's the one where you're really depressed.
Oh yeah.
That yeah that was
Love that one.
yeah, that was really tough because I'm having to be very unkind to her when she's in a really vulnerable state. And although I'm like in character, half of me is also like aware of the high emotion that's going on. Yeah, that was new for me. So
Do you find that scenes that are so intense like that, whilst they are really challenging and difficult to film, do you also find that they are in some ways the more interesting ones because you really delve into your character more? Definitely more interesting to do and to discover, but I think it was because it was the first time I've actually been affected by the work, where after the director's yelled cut and like we've gone off to reset or whatever, it's still, yeah, it stayed with me. Nothing's ever stayed with me before since this. Nice. Okay, so my next question is for you again, Isabel, and it is, do you think that your character's choices were justified?
Absolutely. Without a question. I think she was a victim. I think she was dealing with too much from his character and
Too much.
she didn't know what else to do and people pushed her the wrong way and things kind of just happened. She didn't intend for things to go that way. And
Or
then
did
she just made them. No, she did not. Then she just made the most of it. Can't blame her.
And my next question is another one for Ed. I feel like I'm picking on you today, but
It's fine.
hey, I mean, I'm normally the one who gets picked on.
That's
so
true. That's true.
I'm getting my own back.
We've all seen it.
And it is, what do you think the takeaway is from Icon of Betrayal?
Wow.
I'm glad you got that one.
I'm just mean.
I can feel you. The takeaway, well, don't mess with a woman scorned would be job one. It's a story about greed. Not read, greed. So yeah, the takeaway I think for me is how that can infect you as a person to want too much. That's my takeaway. How it spreads like a virus, like some sort of pandemic or something.
No mention. Don't talk about it.
But no, yeah, I think it's the effect of like wanting too much. How you know what is success, and when is it enough? When do you know you've got to the point? And that's going to be like a question for all of us as actors as well. When do we know
Yeah,
we've reached
it's
the
something
point?
that you'll
You know,
all face at some point.
yeah,
So it's interesting to be able to explore that in a setting where you are doing a film, but at the same time, it's something that is very personal to you because you're experiencing it yourselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely.
Nice. Well, after that very mean question from me, I am sorry.
That wasn't me.
That is all I have to ask for you guys.
Oh,
today.
cool.
Awesome.
So,